First, how to make a straight cable. First of all, arrange the wires in order. First is white, orange, orange, white, green, blue, green, white, brown, brown. And do it do it in the other side. Then the crossover cable. First side is white, green, green, white, orange, blue, orange, white, brown, brown. On the other side is white, orange, orange, white, green, blue, green, white, brown, brown.
The next topic is all about VLSM or Variable Length Subnet Mask. Variable Length Subnet Masking is a technique that allows network administrators to divide an IP address space into subnets or of different sizes, unlike simple same-size subnetting. Variable length subnet mask, in a way, means subnetting a subnet. To simplify further, VLSM is a breaking down of IP addresses into subnets and allocating it according to the individual need on a network. It can also be called a classless IP addressing. A classful addressing allows the general rule that has been proven to amount to IP address wastage. Before you can understand VLSM, you have to be very familiar with IP address structure. The best way you can learn how to subnet a subnet is with examples. Let's work with the diagram below. This is the diagram. Looking at the diagram, we have 3 LANs connected to each other with 2 WAN links. The first thing to look out for is the number of subnets and number of hosts. In this case, an ISP allocated 192.168.1.0/24 class C. In the HQ, it has 50 hosts. RO1 has 30 hosts and RO2 has 10 hosts. Keep in mind that we have to start in the larger host. We will try to and subnet 192.168.1.0/24 to suit this network, which allows a total number of 254 hosts. We recommend that you have to be familiar with this table below. This is the table. We use these bits 1, 2, 4, 8, 16, 32, 64, and 128. Now, let's begin with HQ with 50 hosts. Since it has the largest hosts, we are borrowing 2 bits with value of 64. This is the closest we can get for 50 hosts. The network address of HQ will be 192.168.1.0/26. /26 is the CIDR or classless interdomain route of the IP address. The gateway address is 192.168.1.1. The first usable address of the HQ will be 192.168.1.2, and the last usable address will be 192.168.1.62. The range of this will be 192.168.1.2 up to 192.168.1.62. 192.168.1.63 will be the broadcast address. We have to remember to reserve the first and last address for the network address and the broadcast address. The network mask of HQ will be 255.255.255.192. We got 192 by adding the bit value from the left to the value we borrowed. 128 plus 64 is equal to 92. HQ address will look like this. 192.168.1.0 and has a CIDR notation of /26. And now, at RO1 that has the second most has 30 hosts, we are borrowing 3 bits with value of 32. This again is the closest we can get to the number of hosts needed. RO1 address will start from 192.168.1.64 since we use that 1.63 as the last IP address from HQ. Now we add the 32 to the 64 we borrowed earlier. 32 plus 64 is 96. RO1 is equal to 192.168.1.65. That will be the gateway address. 192.168.1.66 will be the first usable IP address of RO1. And the last usable IP address will be 192.168.1.94. The broadcast address of RO1 will be 192.168.1.95. And its total range will be 192.168.1.66 up to 192.168.1.94. The network mask will be 255.255.255.224. 224, we get that from 192 plus 128 plus 64 plus 32. Hence, 192.168.1.64/27. The third and lowest is the RO2, which has 10 hosts only. 192.168.1.96 is its network address. Hi, we will now be discussing about basic switch configurations. Number 1 is user exec. It allows you to connect with remote devices, perform basic tests, temporarily change terminal setting, list system information. Its prompt is switch and a greater than sign. It is the default mode in the Cisco Packet Tracer and thus it is the first one to appear in the command line interface. Number 2 is privilege exec. It allows you to set operating parameters. It also includes high-level testing and list commands like show, copy, and debug. It is a switch with a pound sign as a prompt. This command enable is for privilege exec and you have to be in the user exec mode to execute it. The third is global configuration. It contains commands those affect the entire system. The prompt is switch, open and close parenthesis config and a pound sign. The command is config terminal from privilege exec mode. Number 4 is interface configuration. It contains commands those modify the operation of an interface. The prompt is like in the global configuration, but it has a dash if inside the opening and close parenthesis. Its command is interface, the type, and the number. You have to be in the global configuration mode to do this. An example is this: interface, fast Ethernet as the type, and the number is 0/5. Next is line configuration. Line configuration commands modify the operation of a terminal line. Line configuration commands always follow a line command, which defines a line number. The prompt is switch, opening and close parenthesis, config dash line, and the pound sign. The command is line bty, line number, and unending line number from global configuration mode. An example of this is line VTY 0 and then 4. Another command is line con line number from global configuration mode. Next one is configuration of VLAN trunk protocol. VLAN trunk protocol or VTP is a data link layer protocol used to track VLAN membership changes across trunk links between VTP-enabled devices. A VLAN or virtual local area network is a grouping of network devices that is not restricted to a physical segment or switch. There is two types of VLANs. Number one is static. It is configured port by port, with each port being associated with a particular VLAN. It is a manual mapping of ports and VLAN. On the other hand, dynamic is a port that can be automatically determined their VLAN configurations. This is the VTP modes. A client is a VTP device that receives and shares VTP info but does not add, modify, or delete. A server is a VTP device capable of adding, modifying, sending, and deleting configuration info. A transparent is a device not participating VTP communications other than forward information through its configured trunk links. There are two types of links. Number one is a trunk. It is a switch to switch or switch to router that can carry multiple VLANs. While an access link is a default link and is only switched to end devices. Here is an example of how to configure a VTP. First, type enable and then type configure terminal to go to the global configuration mode. There, you have to type VTP mode client to change the mode to a client mode. Next, type VTP domain to change the domain name of your VLAN. In here, my domain name is written as my domain name. Then, if you want to have a password, type VTP password, then your desired password. Then type end to exit. Next is changing VTP modes. First, type enable. Second, configure terminal. Go to the global configuration mode. Next, there you have to go to the interface configuration mode. Type interface, the type you want to go to, and then its number. Next, if you're there, you have to type switch port, its mode, then change it to trunk. Every mode is set to an access mode because it is the default of every switch and other devices. Next is, if you want to exit now, just type end.